Alright, what's going on, guys? It is Wintro. I'm back again. I got the microphone this time, and this is going to be a little short video. I'm going to be speaking on the topic of how things have changed, but more particularly how things in the world have changed so quickly. So, I'm going to be uploading more, regular content. It's going to be probably weekly, maybe bi weekly or whatnot. So, yeah. So, with this video today, I want to speak on how the world and people especially have changed so much since 2020. And this is a topic I see people speaking about a lot, right? People have changed, the world has changed, the economy's changed, everything's changed, right? But something that's really stood out to me, and it stood out to me like crazy, is the rate and speed at which things have changed. It doesn't seem natural at all, right? So let's get into probably the main part that people talk about when it comes to how things have changed, and that is social media, right? People are speaking about how social media is starting to show its bad effects now, kind of in 2025 or post 2023, and how this has, started to show how it's affected people. People are becoming a bit more, not a bit more, let's be real here, a lot more selfish, a lot more self-concerned, a lot more narcissistic, a lot more, you know, you could even say soulless in a way, because when you behave all about yourself, you're forgetting the human part of connection. You're forgetting the humanity of what it means to be a person, right? But my thing is this: how exactly did all of these things change so quickly? So I was born in the early 2000s, right? You can probably tell, early 2000s, late 90s. That was the time period that I grew up in. And I remember the world how it was back then. I played outside. I was a kid running outside every single day, living life, playing games with my friends and whatnot, right? That was just normal life for me. And growing up in my teenage years, the world felt relatively similar, right? There were expected ways to behave, You were taught to care about your neighbor, to care about the person next to you, to not be selfish, how it would lead to bad consequences, how certain actions would lead to a punch in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, these were things that I was raised on, and where I'm from, most people were raised on as well. And this becomes a second nature, right? You don't really question this. And as I've gotten older, and as things have changed, and as social media has gotten bigger or whatever, and the world has changed, right? It really seems like in the past 5 years, that whole teaching that I believe most people grew up on has completely flipped, right? People don't think this way anymore. People don't behave this way anymore. Now things are all about the self. But my question is, how exactly did this happen, right? I'm not saying how did this happen in terms of how did it happen. We understand the how, right? Economic instability, mental health issues increasing, the rise of social media, of course, TikTok, Instagram. These things have all been a plague on the mind. But my question is, how did this happen so fast? It felt like prior to 2020, this wasn't really that much of an issue. I will say that towards the late 2010s, 2018 onwards, I did start to notice, people becoming a bit more like self-centered, narcissistic and whatnot, right? But it really wasn't that deep, and it was just the odd person every now and then. But post 2020, it's just skyrocketed to the nth degree. It skyrocketed to levels that are just pretty much unfathomable. And you have to question, how can it have happened so quickly? How can the human mind 5 years ago have been so malleable? Because it's not like it was just teenagers that went through this phase. You've seen this in grown adults, people that have been 30 plus since 2020, right? They've gone under the same sort of change, more selfish, more all about themselves, more narcissistic. But you couldn't have been behaving like that in the mid 2010s, in the 2010s, in the mid 2000s. You weren't behaving like that, right? People were not acting like this. The average person was not just a ball of selfishness, always thinking about themselves. So How exactly did it change so fast? It changed like that. 2020 came, and it's like people's minds over the next couple of years just did a 180. It did a 180 on all of the basic social mechanics, on all of the mannerisms that we were all pretty much raised on. I just don't get how that can happen. And I don't really see people speaking about it that much. People say, when 2020 occurred and what happened. But I've not really seen anybody shocked about the rate and speed at which it changed. You know, I don't get how that can happen. I can see how it could happen to people who were maybe under the age of 15, right? People who were still kids, still babies, right? The world is still changing for them. Their brains are still very malleable. But these people that are like 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, how? And I guess the answer to that question would be 2020 let the mask off for people. Do you get what I'm saying? We put the physical mask on, but the social mask was allowed to come off, and it has stayed off since then. And it's only come off more and more. People, I guess, are showing their actual true feelings, their true nature, the actual way that they feel about things, right? And yeah, I just think it's an incredible thing. It's a very, very peculiar time that we're in. So something that I do want to say before I end the video, and I'm jumping back in here after I've recorded the whole thing, and it's how, of course, mate, there's good people out there. Don't get me wrong. Don't take this video as me saying, oh, everybody's terrible, everybody's evil. I'm not saying that. Not saying that at all. Don't get me twisted. But what I am saying is that the average person, yes, the average person has changed, has gone under a shift. People, especially the ones who are, let's be real here, chronically online, constantly scrolling, sharing, posting on social media, viewing, comparing themselves to each other, which is, let's be real, man. Most people that are pretty young, pretty much everybody under 30 right now, that's how it's gone. And it's sad. But, not everybody's like this. Not every single person in the world is like this, but the average person has, in fact, become this way. So, yeah, try and be, more patient with people, because I feel like a lot of the arrogance and narcissism and bad behavior that we're seeing, yes, it is the mask slipping, but I also get the feeling and the instinct that a lot of people, I don't necessarily know exactly why, but a lot of people are carrying a lot of pain. And maybe 2020 allowed them to start showing that more. That's just a little wild guess for me. But these people that are very narcissistic and arrogant and, bad behavior, nasty, these are not people that think highly of themselves. I feel like back before 2020, people that behaved that way, some of them genuinely did feel good about themselves, and so they needed a correction, if you get what I'm saying, in order to become better people. If they got told off, or they got in an altercation or whatever and they lost and were defeated, they would realize, okay, maybe I'm not that great, maybe I need to chill out and be kinder to other people. But these people today, who are acting in these extremely narcissistic ways, it's not that. I've noticed it's really not that. It's not the same case. These people don't feel good about themselves, bro. They're very angry, very like hurt, And I'm not trying to, make these people out to be some big victims, who can just go around doing whatever they want because they're hurt. No, but I'm trying to say that a lot of the behavior that we're seeing today isn't coming from a place of genuine, man, what's the word, man? What is that word? It's that ancient word. I'll just replace it with another one. They don't see themselves as top of the hierarchy. They feel probably beneath the hierarchy on all levels and are lashing out. And yeah, it is sad. So, try and be patient with people. Pray for people, man. Try and uplift people out here. Don't be a pushover, walkover. Don't let these people do whatever they want to. You definitely don't do that. But, just try and see what is going on inside of these people, you know. Try and have conversations with them where you can. Some of these people out here that are very, you know, harsh and negative. You can have conversations with them, and I've had many conversations with people like this, and every time I did, it really made me drop my I guess my, like, you know, anger towards them or whatever, because I'm like, dang, you are in pain, little bro. Like, you are not well. You know what I'm saying? And that's not me looking down on them. That's just me making a diagnosis, bro. Like, a lot of these people, like, yeah, I'm not well today, fam. So, yeah. And I'll let you get hit with the intro. The outro now. The outro by Wintro. Wintro, outro. I'm gonna make something with that. Wintro, outro. Wintro, intro. All right, cool. That's been my video, man. So, hey, there's gonna be a lot more coming. I plan to do a lot more content. I finally got this recording material set up properly. You know, I got Streamlabs, I got the microphone, I got the external webcam for the 1080p, not in that like 540p anymore or whatever it is. So, you know, guys, subscribe, man. You know, and tell me what you think in the comments. You know, agree or disagree. Let speaking, let your voice be heard, man. So, I do want to end this with a Bible verse as well. I'm going to be doing that with every single video because I feel like that's very important. And we'll just kind of take it at random, you know. For the Son of Man is Lord, even of the Sabbath day. And that comes from Matthew chapter 12, verse 8. And yeah, Christ is our Sabbath day, you know. As Paul mentioned, we don't work by the things of the flesh anymore. You know, Christ is, he is the word made flesh. He is our Sabbath day. He is our law. He is the one who is the mediator for us. He is the one who will take our blame away, you know. So praise Christ, man. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. It's been Wintro. God bless you all, and peace.